Just waiting for it to load up.
Good evening, good afternoon, good morning. Whatever time zone you happen to be in, welcome to Leaders Worldwide Online Toastmasters Club. Our club mission, we provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. Leaders Worldwide is designed for politicians, business leaders, nonprofit leaders, entrepreneurs, as well as anyone who wants to make their message heartfelt and authentic. Core values, integrity, respect, service, and excellence. We are Leaders Worldwide Toastmasters, where leaders are made.
And let's welcome our president, Dr. Nadine James.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're coming from. Thank you so much for joining us. Today we have an exciting meeting, I think, planned. It's impromptu. And the theme of the meeting today is taking flight. Awesome. So this is, I think it's in alignment with the fact that we have just started our new year on July 1st. And so Leaders Worldwide, we are preparing ourselves to take flight. And so join us to fly with us in to the sky and beyond. And now I'm going to turn it over to Tala, to our Toastmaster of the day, to take us forward.
Thank you so much, Madam President, and welcome everyone to what's surely to be an exciting meeting of Leaders Worldwide. It is an honor to be the Toastmaster of the day. And of course, today the theme is taking flight. So at the outset, as Toastmaster of the day, I would request anyone to suggest a word of the day that we can use. Anyone in line with the theme. Yeah, Cassandra, you go ahead.
Soar, to soar like an eagle.
Oh, perfect. Absolutely beautiful.
Perfect. That was my thought.
Yeah. Soaring. Yeah, of course. So, of course. As we know, this is the start of the new year, and we've had a few hiccups along the way. But what gives me great hope and courage is that we are together in it. We are there for the club. And in my 8 years of experience as a Toastmaster, believe it or not, I've seen clubs recover from much worse. We just need to keep at it, keep together, and we will get things together. So the theme today is taking flight, and we are all set to soar. What I would suggest is, as Madam President suggested, that we all declare or we all speak a bit for 5 to 7 minutes on the topic of taking flight. So would it be okay, Madam President, if we give all of us 5 minutes to gather our thoughts on the topic?
Yes, Talha, each person can have up to 5 minutes to speak. You're muted. You're muted, Tala.
Yeah, you're still muted, Tala.
Yeah, I'll put 5 minutes on the clock. All right, and after 5 minutes, we can decide the speaking order.
Oh, okay. So who would like to go first? Cassandra.
Toastmaster Nadine, Toastmaster Tala was saying he's giving us 5 minutes to get our thoughts together.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, everyone, our 5 minutes are up. So are we ready to go?
Who would like to go first?
Well, would you like to go first, Toastmaster Alex?
I would love to have somebody else go first. I'm still trying to construct stuff, but I know there's other people that have their stuff already prepared, so I'm just kind
Okay,
of sitting back.
okay. So Toastmaster Cassandra, would you like to go first? Fantastic. So I'm putting you in the spotlight. There you are. Yes.
Take flight like an eagle to soar, not with the pigeons. No, the eagles do not fly with the pigeons, but to soar with the wind underneath my wings. That's what I did when I decided to join Toastmasters. You see, I had missed out in my career, missed out on the opportunities to get involved with commercials, to act because of the fear, the fear to speak on stage. Fear had paralyzed me, missed out on opportunities. Fear froze me, paralyzed me, where I couldn't speak, missed out on opportunities. But no more. I decided to stand up and say, no more. I had a voice. I could speak. And this was one opportunity that I wasn't going to miss out on. No longer would fear paralyze me. I was going to soar like an eagle. And so I stepped into that fear and I began to speak my truth, speak about things that I knew about my modeling career, my travels, speak about the things I knew about, icebreakers. I began to talk about the things I knew. And the more I started to talk about things I knew, the easier it became. And Toastmasters was that vehicle. I was in the driver's seat. I was trying, no longer paralyzed. Soaring like an eagle. Freedom. You don't know how that gave me the freedom to soar, to take flight, to take my life back. No longer bound by that fear. And I became a vehicle, moving, drive. taking control of my life once again. And it can happen for the newest Toastmasters. And that's what happened to just recently with my speech prep class that I took charge of. We had 21 people in this speech prep class. And oh, it was so nice to see these men and women shaking, paralyzed by their fear of speaking. And they wanted to take flight too, but they were paralyzed. And as the weeks passed on, they gained control. And to see them once in the situation to where they were afraid to speak. And as the weeks progressed, those chains began to loosen. And we saw the only fear that they had to fear was fear itself. And the knowledge that they gained. As I taught them, they taught me. You see, this is an even exchange here. This is an exchange. We all learn from each other. The teacher teach, the student teach. We are all here learning from each other. And this is the beauty about it. We're here all together learning, and the mentee, the mentor, we're all here together learning from each other. What we take out from the inside, from the outside, we're here bringing it all together. And we learn from each other. This is the beauty about Toastmasters and this whole system, this whole organizational structure. We volunteer, but we're bringing experiences from the outside in, the inside out. It all comes together to work together. I'm not sure where I'm at on timing here. Well, can you tell me? I don't see the timing or anything.
You have about 30 seconds more.
Okay, so what I'm saying here, we all just need to soar, bring our experiences, bring our hopes and aspirations together, and soar. Take flight and enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Cassandra. To be very honest, you didn't need to be too concerned about the time because I'm sure I speak for everyone when I say that we wanted to hear you more. So, missing your prepared speeches, looking forward to your projects very soon because I remember when you joined and you were quickly going through your pathways, yours used to be some of the most inspiring speeches. So, looking forward to that. Thank you so much for that beautiful speech. And now, especially, I'm very inspired by the way you actually made it sound as if you had practiced for it. You didn't sound off the cuff. And yeah,
Thank you so much.
your story was also very inspiring. And I think you ended beautifully. That we are all in this together. And you know what? I personally believe that when we are together, it doesn't really matter how many of us there are. What matters is those of us who are there, right? And why are we here? That's the greater purpose. I've also experienced that, when you have a greater purpose, you are not necessarily surrounded by scores of people. You're just surrounded by a select few, but those are the right people. So
Thank you.
amazing to have you in the club. Thank you so much. Now, who would like to go next?
Rosemary, you ready?
No, I'm not quite ready.
All right, Tal, it's all about you.
But Nadine should be ready. Nadine, you're muted
Nadine,
there.
look,
Your mic is, if you're speaking in first, you're muted.
All right, hold on. I'm writing down something.
Nadine,
I'm writing down something you just said, Tala, because I like it. You said when you're surrounded by, when you have a greater purpose. What was it you said? When you have a greater purpose? Can you write it in the chat, please? Okay. You said when you have a greater purpose,
okay.
you might not be surrounded by a lot of people, but just a few, and those are the select few,
But those
right?
will be those are the right people and the select few. Yeah.
I like that. I
Yeah.
really like that. That's such an encouragement. So the theme of the day is taking
Okay.
flight.
Yeah.
I was standing, I'm not sure where, but it was nighttime. And this gentleman came up to me and he was saying something, like he was trying to tell me something. And I was refusing him. I was just not accepting what he had to say. Another lady came up to me and she was about, well, she started to say something. And like my reaction to that gentleman, I was resisting. What she did, placed her hand on my heart and she said, relax. And she said to me, you will become a doctor and you'll be traveling. At the time, I didn't understand it. At the time, I did not understand. I was in graduate school, and I was going through some stuff. And when this lady said what she said, it manifested over the years. Now, as I was going through grad school, there were things that I went through. It was very difficult traversing the courses and so forth. I felt like a fish out of water. And there came a time when I was in the chemistry department and things were transitioning. It was getting very difficult. And this came back to me. It was a dream where the Lord said to me, you will become a doctor and you'll be traveling. So I left the chemistry department and I ended up at Roswell Park Cancer Institute to complete my PhD. Now, even though I was, even though I was a little discouraged by my experience in the chemistry department, that dream kept me going. You will become a doctor and you will be traveling. In 2009, in 2010, December 2010, while preparing to defend my dissertation, my proposal for my dissertation, I walked outside and I was literally crushed by a car. So I could not give my defense the next day. However, you will become a doctor and you will be traveling. Was still there. 1 year later, I got up and on the same day I was supposed to give the defense of my proposal, I completed it. You will become a doctor and you'll be traveling. I went back. It took me 2 years to literally finish my dissertation because I was injured. It took me 2 years. However, I kept that saying, you will become a doctor and you will be traveling. I completed my studies. I forgot to say, during my studies, I realized that I had a love for working with children based on an experience I had. Now, I didn't understand what it meant by you will become a doctor and you'll be traveling. Today, I do understand what that means. I might not have soared and gone to all the countries of the world. However, I realized that what I've been doing is impacting children from countries of the world. So although I may be in the US, I'm impacting children from various countries. So we are soaring and traveling. And I'm very grateful for that opportunity. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Nadine. And again, that was also really inspiring. Sorry?
I said that was impromptu. That was
Yeah, of course. Of course, everyone is impromptu today, but that's the magic. And, I'm not entirely surprised, but I'm amazed that what is emerging from us in this situation, right? We are not prepared. We just decided on the spot what we will speak about. And there's that certain kind of magic. And if I get the chance, I'll, talk about that a little bit more. But it's something that I've discovered. There is a magical zone between table topics and prepared speech, which we seldom explore, and that is the semi-prepared speech. Something that is largely off the cuff, but one has had time to gather one's thoughts. And in those moments, what emerges really is nothing like table topics and nothing like prepared speeches. I believe because you know what? When pressed into such a situation, we have to be our true selves. We have to speak from our hearts. There's no other alternative, right? We don't have the time to create artificiality around what we are about to think and about to speak, right? So everything is coming directly from the heart. And what inspires me the most about your story is that yours happens to be one of the noblest pursuits on this planet. If I were to select a few things that I really, really respect, uh, one of those things would have to be the medical profession. It is absolutely matchless in terms of service to humanity. And I know that uh, medical professionals, doctors, surgeons, they get bad rap all around the world, but the world cannot survive without. So yeah, that is thoroughly, uh, without question, maybe the noblest of professions. So congratulations on making a difference, and we wish that you continue to make a difference like this. Thank you so much. So who would like to go next? Rosemary is ready, but you're muted.
Yes, I will be
Yeah,
going next.
perfect. Over to you then.
Okay, so it is my business swinging consultancy soaring. 2 years ago, I left work, I retired, and I decided to open a business because there's so much I have to share with others. And why not? I hired a coach. Although I was normally a small business manager at my place I worked, I thought, and I was right, I needed someone to guide me. And it is a guidance I need up to today with online, because my business has to be online. And online and brick and mortar businesses are two completely different businesses. And so I did not realize that until I started. I thought I could just go get my people and everything would be smooth sailing. But when I got my coach, I realized I was in a new world, a world where I would hear SEO, analytics, social media, and those things. And I was like, what are those things? Because all I know, you would come to my office, speak with my staff. If you are not able to afford your loan, you would come to me, and with me, I always find a way for you to afford your loan. As long as you have patience for us to go through everything with you, I would find a way. More so if that loan was an emergency or much needed loan. Probably if it is a want loan, somebody wants to travel or so, I might not go through the length and breadth. But let's say you wanted to have your child go to school, you wanted something for money for medical or those things, your mortgage, I would go to everyone above me to ensure that you got your loan. And so I hired a coach, her name Melinda. And Melinda was well trained. She was trained in England. So we started, and my first concern was when I had to do my logo. There were colors and things I had to choose. However, because of Toastmasters, I knew of Canva, I knew of hex code, because in my world, there is no way I would be getting to know anything about hex code or anything. And so we created the logo, we created the name and everything. And I went along. But at some point, I realized that, hey, there is so much I don't know. I need to know, and things I need to know. Where do I put my caption? Where do I put my content? How do I capture my market? And guess what I did? I went back to school. I signed up. There's a continuing education program with our university. I did that. I did another course on strategic management. I did that, and a branding course, because this is a whole new world. When I left school, there was nothing like that. When I did marketing, there was nothing like that. But this section of marketing is very important, and I went ahead and I did it. And I expect Sweeney's consultancy to soar to new heights, because I have information to share with my clients. There are people out there who are suffering because the economy is tight, and they have caught themselves in a debt trap where their loans are unmanageable. But there are ways by which they can overcome that. And some of them do not speak to anyone, so they are suffering in silence. This I know because of, on more than one occasion, people I have dealt with who I had the opportunity to call when I was working, to speak with them about the different areas, the avenues they could approach to have their loans come up to date. I had a friend, a very close friend, and she was going through some financial difficulties, and her lips was zipped. She never shared that information with me until one day when her property was almost confiscated by the courts. Now she was going to court over a number of years. She never told me anything. Because most time people are in debt, they feel ashamed. They feel it's that's a sign of failure to them, and they would like to keep it as quiet as possible and within the family. And this is what happened to her. Until that house, she nearly lost her property. And she came to me and she said, Sweeney, I have been going through something and I was ashamed to discuss it with you. But now I'm at the end of my rope and I need help. And I was able to have her refinance her mortgage because there is time. Long time you would have 20 years to pay your mortgage. Now you have 30 years, and now it can be extended. So the financial institution will try as much as possible to meet you where you are. It is not that the financial institution would like to take your property away from you. And those are things I need to discuss with people, have them feel that they can afford their loan, because they can afford their loan. The only thing is they do not discuss. And this is why I know Sweeney's consultancy will be soaring to new heights, because I have prepared myself for the future. I have the information to share with others. I know how to guide them into controlling their finances and building a better financial future. Mr. Toastmaster.
Wow, that was amazing, Toastmaster Sweeney. I think what you're doing is equally respectable because, yes, in this day and age of fast consumption, and people, including myself, we should know better, but we no longer have control over our instincts. Uh, we no longer plan, and especially, I would say that, especially in my part of the world, females are more affected because they, by virtue of not being able to plan, or by virtue of being told that you have no business planning your finances, let others do them for you, right? They suffer all the more. But I think it's a worldwide phenomenon that uh, everyone these days, somehow we tend to think that we just need to live by the month or by the day or by the week, and we do not in any way owe our children anything, or our future anything. And perhaps it's also something to do with the fact that so much is happening each and every day. For example, the worldwide IT crash that happened on Friday, that that broadcasts a signal that everything is so fragile. It can just go away just like that. So I don't know what is it, but I, for one, find that our parents and their parents, they were far, far more conservative with their spending. And yes, we used to hate that when we were kids, but now we realize the wisdom of that. And I believe the world needs to be retaught the value of uh, celebrating what one has and not lusting after what one doesn't, unless it's really needed. And I believe you would agree, Toastmaster Sweeney, that that's the root of most of our problems. That we get inspired, we get coerced by media, by social media, uh, by peer pressure to make uh, careless purchases. And the banks and financing companies, they jump on this opportunity. uh, the lenders, the credit card companies, they're looking for people like us, and they tell us that you can buy things that you cannot afford, you can have them, and we have got you covered. You can pay them for the uh, in your own time. And at first, it sounds really attractive, but over time, it piles up and piles up and piles up to one loan, then another, then another, unless until we discover that most of our income is going in debt servicing, right? So thank you, Toastmaster Rosemary Sweden, for the service that you're doing. I believe that we need more people like you, especially love the part where you knew for a fact, thanks to your expertise, that financial institutions will meet people where they are. Most people don't know that, right? They have to make an effort and they need to be educated. So, absolutely beautiful. So, I believe that leaves Toastmaster Alex. Uh, it's your turn now. There you are.
Helps if I unmute myself. So when you talk about soaring and what does that mean, I really think mostly about what I've been doing since March. And my daughter who's 9, we decided that she was going to learn how to play lacrosse. And one of the hardest things about the sport, just like in baseball, is throwing and catching and facing your fear of catching a rubber ball that's coming at you. And we started in March, and we would play for 20 to 30 minutes, or probably longer than that. And it always ended in crying. And I told her, we have to do this every day, every single day. And rain or shine, we were out there. I think we missed maybe 10 days since March, but we've been practicing every single day. And what we found was the crying started to diminish, and she would take jumps, and then she would go along for a while, and then she'd take another jump. Then she might go back, but then she'd take another jump. And this kept going on until today. But there's when you deal with kids or even adults as well, everybody brings something different to the table. And that's one thing that we need to always look at, because some of her friends are much more athletic than she is. And she got really discouraged in the beginning, to the point that she's like, oh, I'm not very good. I'm like, they're different. Just because they know another sport makes them a little bit faster. They have them a little bit more game sense, but they're not as technical as you are. So one of the big things in this particular sport is you need to be able to catch and throw with the stick with both your left and your right hand. And for a lot of kids, it's hard enough doing that with your right hand, because most kids are righties. Well, she's a lefty. And one of the things when you talk about, making good habits and doing this, when I was training her in the beginning, I never looked at her other strength hand as a weakness. This is your strong hand, and this is your other strong hand. So now, March, April, May, June, we're almost July, in 5 months, you forget the summer's going so quickly. She can do all this. Can she do it as well as a 16 or 17-year-old? Absolutely not. But her coordination skills are soaring, and her game sense is still not there because she hasn't really been on a team. But our goal is to get her to be coordinated enough to compete. And the hour or two that I spend with her every day, yes, it's not always the best. Sometimes it still ends in crying, but it's time that I have with her. It's also time that she just can kind of work things out with herself. And I tell her all the time that, because she doesn't think that she has some low self-esteem when it comes to this type of stuff. And I tell her all the time, you're comparing yourself against yourself or others. You're not really comparing yourself to you don't realize how good you are, because we don't really practice with anybody else. So we went to a camp a week or so ago, and it must have been 100 degrees in the stands. It must have been 115 degrees out on the turf. I mean, it was hot. It was so hot, it was ridiculous. But she was there. She was the only 4th grade or 9-year-old there, and she hung with the older kids. Was she as coordinated as all of them? No, but she could be with them. And that's what this comes down to. It's about, hanging with your peers, being able to ask the right questions, being able to be part of the conversation. And I think that that's one of the things that in this day and age that really prevents us from wanting to be the best person we are. And now we're transitioning into field hockey, which everywhere else in the world is more of a man's sport, but in America, it's more of a women's sport. And she's played for years, but we're back at square one because she just hasn't thought about that sport. And again, we started this week and there's a lot of crying that ends up, and it's about getting your coordination, and it's about the process. You know, Kobe Bryant said, you know, you could practice for 2 hours a week, you're going to get good. But if you practice for 2 hours a day, you're going to get incrementally good. And it doesn't matter if it's sports or education or whatever it is you decide that you want to do. That's what this is about. It's about when you go to practice, you don't just go to practice to go through the motions. You go to practice to learn something new. So every time we have a practice together, I always ask her, what is something that you did well? What is something that you need to improve on? And the last thing is, and I learned this a little bit from Toastmasters, how are you going to fix it so you can improve upon it? And I think that's something. It's one thing to look at what you did that was wrong. It's another thing to try to come up with a solution. And I think that's the main thing when you talk about wanting to look to the future, is coming up with solutions. Back to you guys.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you so much, Alex. That was once again an absolutely beautiful story. And I'm really, really envious of your daughter because she has a father like you. And I aspire to be one like that as well. And the most beautiful takeaway from your story is that you really don't need to compare yourself to others. The only person you have to beat is yourself. As long as you beat yourself, as long as you beat the person that you were yesterday, that's all that's needed for you to progress. And yes, you're right. We are so used to thinking less of ourselves that we seldom realize that how good we are. And what's more, uh, another very important lesson that I derive from this is that uh, one has to take the plunge in order to soar, right? There's always the first time for every bird to fly, and that time is a time of uncertainty. As far as I know, no bird is born with the skills to fly. They are taught how to fly. And there's always that first time where they jump off something and then they flap their wings. It's like just learning how to swim, right? They flap their wings, they flap their arms till they realize that yes, there's wind beneath their wings and they can fly. So unless you take the plunge, you can think endlessly, you can plan endlessly, but ultimately, unless you take the plunge, you will not soar. So initially, you may sink, but ultimately, you will soar. So lovely to hear about field hockey because that is a sport that's kind of a rare sport. In my country, Pakistan and subcontinent India, the game is really big. It used to be really big. It is our national sport, in fact. And it is known as one of the fastest games in the world, the field hockey and ice hockey both, uh, and badminton too. But everything got swallowed up by cricket in our part of the world. And, it doesn't help that our current national team kind of sucks at it. So, since all the resources, all the coverage is going towards that sport, the other sports that we excel at, the field hockey one, because our country actually made it to the finals of the World Cup field hockey recently, and hardly anyone knew about it because everybody was so absorbed in cricket. So absolutely lovely to hear about that. And again, fantastic job. So I guess now it's my turn. And Alex, could you please allow me to share my screen?
Just give me 1 second here. I pressed the wrong button here.
Sorry?
I pressed the wrong button. Here.
Who will be the timer?
There you go.
Who will time? Good news. Who will be the
Yeah,
timer?
now I can share my screen. Yeah, I can put the timer for myself, so that's not
Oh,
a big issue. Yeah, let me just put on the countdown.
You can share, right?
Yeah, I can share.
Okay.
So here I go. So everyone, after hearing so many great tales of soaring, I have something of my own to share. It will be slightly different from what you've heard before, but I believe that it ties right into what we're trying to achieve here. And me personally, uh, I'm absolutely honored and humbled to have achieved what I will just detail. So, as we all know, that a Toastmasters Club is established under a few rules and regulations of Toastmasters. Its meetings have to have a structure, right? But there's also another kind of Toastmasters Club, and that is called a themed club. Usually, a themed club is an advanced club. So, for example, Leaders Worldwide is not a themed club. It can focus on different topics in every meeting. Uh, a few years ago, I had this idea that since we were now increasingly online, right, every club needed a reason to exist, a unique selling proposition, if you will. And I thought about creating a themed and advanced club. And it was a tall order, especially in my part of the world where education levels are already low. We have a tiny Toastmasters community compared to wherever you guys are. But even then, I believe that we had an appetite for it. And there was something that was very close to my heart, and that was the fact that in the recent decades, we have lost touch with humanity. We have lost touch with science and technology. We have grown too accustomed to pursuing other disciplines that are meant solely to make money, right? And uh, to me, that's a regrettable state of affairs. In fact, I believe that is one of the reasons that we stand at the brink. If no, we are not at the brink. We are in the midst of an environmental disaster. So I laid the foundations of this club called Quantum Leap. Initially, I named the club Multiverse, but I later found out that a club with such a name was already uh, being formed somewhere else. So what you will see is the agenda from our latest meeting. What gives me great pride is that this club is now in its third year. It is a themed and advanced club. It has had a joint meeting with leaders worldwide as well, about maybe 2 years back. And every meeting has a scientific keynote followed by a Q&A, and it has advanced evaluation. I picked up the idea of keynote from leaders worldwide because there used to be a time when leaders worldwide used to have a keynote speech as well. There's a scientific keynote, and there are advanced evaluations. We have evaluations that are divided between a lead evaluator and four different areas of a speech: auditory, visual, perceptible, and structural and language. So that way, our speakers get comprehensive evaluation on each and every area of the speech. There's also a segment called Geek of the Week, and in that section, one can introduce a good piece of science fiction, movie, or a novel, whatever that uh, that one may think that the audience should explore. So this was one of the clubs that I formed. It gathered a global audience. Even right now, it has audience from 5 different countries, members. And initially, it also used to have North American members. But the hurdle that we are facing with this is that the time of the club is 11 a.m. our time, which is 11 p.m. Pacific time. But what I would like to do is to invite leaders worldwide to have a joint meeting with Quantum Leap once again. It would be lovely, and we will adjust our timing according to the availability of members of leaders worldwide, because I happen to be on the executive committee of both the members, so it is my job to make it work. The second club was even more inspirational, and to this day, I can't believe that this is a reality. It's a club called WorldWide, and you can see the flyer from the latest meeting. It is a completely different kind of club. It has pathway speeches and it has extempore writing, something that I was talking about earlier. Members are given 20 to 25 minutes to come up with 3 to 5 minute speeches or stories, and they recite them on the spot. There's also interpretive reading, where someone else's work is interpreted by some speakers. There's also an educational keynote about the art of either speaking or writing. So this happens to be the only club on the planet that not only celebrates creative writing, but it also teaches creative writing on the spot. There's also a book review, and if you see, the segments of the meeting are named like chapters of the book. So it is all about celebrating the written word, and it's all about celebrating, it's all about unlocking the hidden creative powers within Toastmasters. And trust me, we are again in well into the second year of this club. This also has a global membership, and we have witnessed some stunning speeches. How stunning? Well, as stunning as the speeches that we witnessed today. As we saw today, even without preparation, members came up with absolutely fantastic speeches and heartfelt stories. So that is something that I feel really, really honored and humbled, because I really do believe that these two advanced clubs are making a difference, not only in terms of being good quality Toastmasters club, but also educating people about the power of scientific method and the power of literature. So with that, I bring my presentation to a close. Thank you so much. So today we went on so many journeys with each one of us. We went on a journey about how Cassandra found her power through Toastmasters, about how Dr. Nadine is helping humanity through her profession, about how Toastmaster Rosemary is imparting that amazing bit of education that is needed by all of us to manage our finances. And finally, the beautiful story of presented by Alex about how he is gently pushing his daughter towards greatness in sports. So that was absolutely amazing. I must say that all these speeches were as good as prepared speeches. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. With a little work, all these speeches can and will be turned into contest speeches. So absolutely amazing. Thank you for having this idea, Madam President. And now I hand over the floor back to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Tala, for navigating us to this point in the meeting. I truly enjoyed all of you dancing in the conversation this afternoon, this evening, this morning, wherever you are. This was truly, it was, well, as we said, it was impromptu, and I learned so much from each of you. Thank you so much, Cassandra, Rosemary, Alex, and Tala, and myself. I'm not sure what to do after this, Rosemary.